I can't believe it. There's only 1 week left until we finish high school, said Parker. Yeah, time really flies fast for us, said Adrian as they were playing video games at his home. So, do you have any plans for after high school? Said Parker. Yes, I'm actually going to that college in New York that I told you about. So you actually got in? Yep, I did. So, what type of subject are you gonna plan for or study? Parker asked. Um, Actually, I'm thinking of, you know, I think it was business management and software. Right. You were planning to take over your dad's company one day, right? That's right. Wow. So, you really have a lot to learn. I mean, you do know just a bit about how to even know about business. I mean, thanks for your dad's help. But it is also your parents, especially your dad, who wanted you to learn more about business from college. You know, if you would be taking over the company. That's true, said Adrian back. What about Audrey? Oh, she's actually also going to the same college as me. Really? Yeah. She was actually really interested to learn more about management herself. So, wait a minute. Are you saying that she's gonna work at the same company as you? Yeah. Wait, is she going to be your secretary or anything? Who knows? Maybe. But there's just one thing. What is it? Who's gonna pay for her fees of for college and all that stuff? You know her family isn't really much keen on her going to college in the first place, or even wasn't even willing to pay for it. Oh, that's not a problem. Wow, really? Actually, I'm going to pay for it for that. Wait a minute. Have you even permission from your family or your parents about this? I have asked about it, and they even know about her family situation. And in fact, they're actually really keen of her to have her away from her family that far, said Adrian back. Well, let's hope that goes well for them, though. I mean, you know how much her family is really about this. Yeah. Another thing is, I can't believe you actually proposed to her about a week ago. Congratulations, man. Thanks. I mean, we have been dating since the first year of high school, and, you know, even though I wasn't sure if we would even last this long, but just spending time with her made me to realize how much I really love her, and I willing to spend my rest of my life with her, said Adrian. I hear you on that one, said Parker back. Adrian had been dating Audrey for about since the first year of high school, and even as Parker mentioned, Adrian proposed to Audrey about a week earlier, and she said yes. And even as Parker did also said about her family, is that she isn't happy with being in the family in the first place. Her family wasn't happy when she said that she wanted to go to college, but her family said that they aren't told her just give up the dreams or she had to pay for everything herself. As Adrian, as Audrey's dad once said to her, if you want to go to college, you had to pay for that yourself. We are not willing to pay for that. But the problem is, if she would have to go to a local college, and if she had to pay for that, she had to take a part-time job again. She once had a part-time job for about 3 months, and every single time when she would get paid, her family took the money from her because of her expenses or pay for her bills or anything like that. But she didn't have enough encouragement to continue, so she quit that job. Even though her family was very annoyed to that. But they moved on from that and just controlling her life as much as possible. Even Audrey has not even mentioned to her parents that she was engaged because she was afraid that they were to know that her fiance, Adrian, is a part of a wealthy family. So they will try to make it possible to get enough money from Adrian as well. And that's what she was afraid of. But now, thanks to Adrian, who was actually around the time when she confessed to Adrian after that he had proposed to her that same day, that she had been accepted to college. And she actually applied to the same college as him. He was excited, but he could also sense that there was something else. And she said it was about the payment. She said even though she was applying and that accepted in, and they actually were going to the college in New York. But since her family wasn't willing to pay for anything, Adrian told her not to worry. He had already asked his parents for permission so that he can pay for both him and Audrey's college funds, fees, and all that stuff that was required. She was excited, but also at the same time told her that he didn't have to, but he was willing to do so for her. So, after they finished high school, about a week later, they were actually at his place. They were just talking about upcoming travel to New York for their college things. Even both are really excited. But there was one small problem. Audrey's family had heard about that she is going to college, and they started to demand to know how she was even going to pay for that. She said that she was getting a part-time or something then when she gets there. She had already saved up enough money, she said, in secret. Her parents were so furious, but she was now she was now 18, so she had the obligation to give her family the money anymore. So that same day after she had finished high school, she had turned 18 about a couple of weeks earlier. So she took some of her personal belongings and some other things that she wanted to keep with her in a backpack in a box and actually moved to Adrian's house. She stayed there until they were going to New York. So, the day when they arrived to New York, both actually were so excited, but they were just only a problem for Adrian. He later learned from Parker, who also went to the same college apparently, that there were some guys hitting on Audrey because she was beautiful, but when she told them that she was already engaged, some guys backed off. But there was one particular guy that didn't even take no for an answer. His name was Gary. So when Parker said, "Hey, did you heard about this?" "What?" There's this guy named Gary here at this college, and he has been persistent to hitting on Audrey, despite she telling him that she is engaged, but he said to her, "I don't care. Dump them and be with me. I'm more good looking." But, what, seriously? Yeah. She hasn't even told me that. Wait, she hasn't? No. Ah, man, this is gonna be a pain in the butt for him. Yeah. So, after that happened, when Adrian met up with Audrey that same afternoon, after their class was over, he now like, "Audrey, yeah? Is it true that there's this guy named Gary that's been hitting on you?" "Wait, Parker told you?" "Yes, he did. And I'm worried about you, you know." "Thanks, but I can handle it." "No, listen. I will not allow this to continue." Then suddenly they heard a voice said, "Audrey, you should listen to him." It was actually Audrey's best friend, Molly. "Molly, have you been listening all the time?" Not really. I just arrived here. But you listen to your fiance's courage here. He just wanted for the best for you." And that same moment, Gary literally walked by and he saw her and walked up to her and ignored both Molly and Adrian. Hi there. So, have you thought about if you want to go out with me this Friday? No, I told you I have a fiance, and this is my fiance. Huh? This loser? Hey, back off. She's overtaken. Back off, you little scrawny loser. Me scrawny? Listen, she has no interest in you whatsoever, so back off, said Adrian to Gary. And I may not be as big as you, but I will be able to defend myself if needed. What? Said Gary. You should know something about Adrian, said Molly. Oh, what's that? Is that he has a black belt in karate? You're kidding. Nope. He is actually a black belt, so, if I were you, leave her alone. Gary stood there for a moment and thinking, but then he turned around and left without saying a single word. Audrey was just happy that he was there to help her. She was had problem with him for a couple of times now, for which Adrian was happy to prevent anything further than that. He later learned that Gary was known at college for a troublemaker. But ever since that day, he never had messed around with anyone else at the college. In fact, he remained by himself for the most part. The relationship between Adrian and Audrey remained strong. Even though they did have a lot of tough times, especially with exams, a lot of studies and all that, but their persistence and hard work would eventually pay off. And during the first winter holiday, they went back home, but they spent most of their time at Adrian's house. Audrey didn't have no intention to go back home to see her family, since her parents would demand handing over as much money that she had, and even trying to demand what to know how she was able to pay off for anything. In fact, they had reached out to her on the phone a couple of times, but she had always just ignored the calls. But one day, just shortly after Christmas, Audrey and Adrian was out for a walk in town, but suddenly she heard a voice. Audrey! She simply froze of fear. It was a voice that she immediately recognized. It was her dad. She slowly turned around, and sure enough, it was just not only her dad, but also her mom. They walked up to her and like, Audrey! Why have you even answered our calls? And where have you been? Where is the money that you owe us? Tell us. And who is this? Audrey was really terrified. She knows her dad can be very loud, and in fact, he's an alcoholic. And Adrian stepped in front of her and said, Sir, back away from us. You don't tell me what to do. She's my daughter. She may be your daughter, but you're scaring her. And who are you to tell me that? My name is Adrian. I'm her fiancé. Fiancé? Audrey, why had you never told us? She didn't want to. You can't even force her. She told me everything about her family. How can you be so heartless? What did you say? Her mom said. You heard me. You cannot demand her to pay anything back to you. She told me when she had a part-time that you had to take all her money that she earned hardly. You don't have not the right to do that. You stay away from this. This is a family matter. Her dad screamed almost. I don't care. What? I don't care. Because she's going to be my wife. And before then, Adrian actually get punched in the face by Audrey's dad. Adrian! He didn't fall on the ground or anything. He just stood firm. And then it's like, really? Are you trying to assault me? Don't care if I had to beat you to a pulp, her dad said angrily. His face was so red in fear of rage. Audrey, call the police. Don't you dare, Audrey. Listen to me. Come home, and we will have discussion. But then Audrey stood up for herself. Dad, do you know who he is? No, and I really don't care. Have you heard of, Stardust Software? Of course I have. It's like the biggest company in our town. Why? Adrian is the son of the owner. He is the son of the founder of the company. And that made her dad first from red to pale. It was then when her dad came to realize he had punched the heir to Stardust company, software company, in the face. And he knew that Adrian's dad would not take this kindly. Adrian just said, listen, I had hoped that we could get along. But it's clearly you have nothing to do with that. From this day on, Audrey won't be your daughter anymore. What? Said her mom. Please, we're sorry. Sorry. You should sorry be to her. Listen, I know for a fact if she had told you about me, you would have started to demand a lot more money than she even had. And even if I hadn't even broken up with her, you would still not even get any money from me or her. Audrey, let's go. Don't forget call the police. Those two don't even deserving it. You're right. And thanks for raising me, well, not happy. And as Adrian said, we are not family anymore, so don't even try to reach out to me. That, they just turned around and left. Audrey's parents just start to scream after her for asking for forgiveness, come back. They promised to be better. But they didn't listen. Even Audrey started to get some calls from her dad, but she blocked the number, and from her mom, and she blocked that number. They tried to reach out from other friends or other families, even other family member from Audrey's side, like grandparents, even though at least her maternal grandparents was complete opposite. They were lovely family. When they had heard from her side, they could not believe it. And they were the only ones in the family that she still had very much good contact with. The rest of the side of the family, from her paternal side, they were complete idiots. More like to spit by the word, she said to Adrian. But as time came on, both actually finished college and they moved back home. Even though Audrey's parents had tried to reach out to her a few times after that. But thanks to Adrian's dad's help with a lawyer, they backed off. Both Adrian and Audrey started working for Stardust Software Company. And eventually, Adrian's dad stepped down as the CEO, and Adrian became the next one. A year later, Adrian and Audrey did get married. Parker was his best man, Molly was her maid of honor, and Audrey only invited her maternal grandparents. But she had no intention to invite her parents at all. And they even went to Hawaii for about a week as their honeymoon. They had just a good time there. But then, 2 years later, both Audrey and Adrian actually gave this big announcement. They were expecting their first child. They were expecting a boy, which they named Jonathan. 2 years later, they actually had a second child, which they named Hannah. Both Adrian and Audrey were really happy. Adrian is happy that he had met Audrey. He could not even imagine how his life would have been if he had never met her. Same thing for her. He was just happy that he was able to save her out from her controlling, demanding parents like that. And even Audrey had often wished for that to happen. And that dream came true when she was saved by her knight in shining armor, Adrian. Their life together was both rocky, especially for Audrey. But she was happy that the one that came to save her was her true love, Adrian. Even though that she was trying her best to not to have a mental breakdown by her parents, but she was happy she didn't have it. And this is how Adrian and Audrey found their true love, got a big family together. The end.